already, Sanjeet, you'll just have to cut all this, is my point.
अरे हाँ हाँ सब कट हो जाएगा.
सब
तो
कट
ये
नहीं
बता.
करना सर.
Hello. Welcome back to Queen is Dead. I'm Sanjeet. I have Dhruv and Aryan with me, and today we have Shashwat back with us after
A
not so
year.
very long.
And
Was
years.
a year.
Yeah.
He appeared. What is this?
In
Okay,
the
never
best
mind.
of half year. Yeah.
Yeah. In the best of half year. Never
Yes.
mind. Today we talk about the best of the year so far. We talk about stuff that we watched from different languages and different festivals or whatever, everything that is available, but it doesn't include the shows that we speak. So we'll go chronologically and we'll talk about our lists, and if it's common we'll all jive in and also talk about why it is amongst our list of favorites. And we'll start with Shashwat. So Shashwat, you can go ahead with your list.
Yeah. So first of all, I have the common one. We have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and
Mhm.
I think it's better than the one that got away with all the attention and the Oscar last year. And it's very yeah, I mean, it's a beautifully fitting sequel. I mean, it's also the right amount of fun to be called. I mean, a wee bit better than the original, and
Mhm.
more crucially, the writing knows when to take a pause, and there's this need to serve the. It doesn't bother with the need to serve the aftermath. It's like a proper epic, is what
Hmm.
I really like about it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
but mostly, mostly the best thing about it is how it bothers with these real life concerns, which are and also the ones which are beyond the frame of the big screen, as we say.
Hmm.
I mean, uh, what we
Pun
get
intended.
inside Dune and yeah,
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fifth one in my chronology is that, and the fourth one is showing up,
No, so one
which is
second.
again,
Sorry, Shashwat. No, because we have
yeah,
Across the Spider-Verse for all of us, I think, on some level, right, on our list. We'll also
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah.
yeah,
chime in right now
Definitely.
and whatever. So
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
Aryan, you
yeah.
can go
So
ahead
Dhruv,
first.
okay,
Acha,
Aryan, you
okay,
can.
fine, whatever.
The first of all, basically coming from a studio like Sony Pictures, I was really skeptical when I looked up and realized that this film is actually having different set of directors than the one that gave us Into the Spider-Verse. A film that I think it's definitely one of the best animated films I've ever watched, to be very honest. And
Aryan,
Hmm.
I can't see
that's
your
why I was a
excitement.
bit
I can't see
skeptical.
your excitement.
I
I
have
need
not
to.
slept in 2 days. This is how it's going to sound like. Anyways.
No, I am
Modulate the
happy
voice to like a different level.
because you've been the craziest
Okay.
of all of us. So
Yeah, I think you
No,
like
no,
it the
I'm
most
getting there
amongst all
now.
of us. Amongst all of us
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
definitely. It's
Yeah.
I think it was phenomenal because
Hmm.
it not only it not only improves upon the storytelling devices that the first film used so well, but it also expands upon the visual flair of it.
Hmm.
Because in this
Mhm.
film, I don't think I have seen anything quite like this film because it actually uses its color palette and its visual design, visual architecture to inform the very emotions that these characters are going through, the very notions that these actors are going through. And
Hmm.
there's this, I don't think if in fact, I realized this while I was watching the film, and I was just like, this movie is doing something very poetic on a deeper level, where
Hmm.
it's tricking us into believing that it's the same continuation of a coming of age story that we got in the first film, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
But there's this subtle one instance, okay? There's this one scene where Miles Morales' dad, okay, his father,
Hmm.
is
Mhm.
trying to, go chase after Spider-Man and whatever the name of the villain is, the pole,
The
whatever.
spot.
The
The
spot.
spot. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're chasing him, okay? And
Yep.
he's like contemplating whether to take a jump, whether to take a dive and chase
Hmm.
them both. And we cut to him running down the flight of stairs, okay?
Yeah.
And it's the same actual juxtaposition. It's the same parallel that we got in the first film with Miles when he was accepting and coming on terms with him having these new capabilities and capabilities of being Spider-Man, okay, of going through this adolescent changes that he was dealing, he was going on terms with, okay, in the first film. And that's a subtle way of this film making sure that it was telling us that this is not actually a coming of age story of Miles, but actually about a coming of age story of his parents. And I think the way the film expands on that, and throughout, I saw a lot of this criticism initially when the film came out, that the first half, especially the first act, revolves and dedicates a lot of time into giving us backstories and a lot of those family dramatics. Okay. And I saw this criticism a lot that the film takes a while to get into the action. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's only then when you realize that no, this is the point. It's actually the coming of age story of his parents.
Yeah.
And it's those slow moments where Miles is having that conversation on his father's birthday party, right? When
Yeah.
he's just
On the
was it
terrace.
his birthday party?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
Mm.
terrace. And it's that conversation that he's having with his mother. And it's just played so slow.
Yeah.
And I think it's phenomenal. I think
Yeah.
I do have some problems with the way it transitions from its second to third act,
Yeah.
because it has to live up to certain story beats, and also set up this little cliffhanger that would actually whatever, we'll hopefully get that movie next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think apart from those minor quick bits, I really think that this is, people are talking about how this might be one of the best superhero trilogies, or one of the best superhero trilogies we might ever get. I think even just with the second film, it's already proven to be one of the best trilogies ever.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the filmmakers are going to let us down with the third film, and I'm so glad that the same team of writers and directors are returning for the third film.
Yeah.
Because now I realize, when I said that I was stupid for being skeptical about this film having a different set of directors, because it does feel like a different film from Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm so glad that it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dhruv?
Yeah. So I guess I was in the minority for not liking, not I didn't not like it, but I admired Into the Spider-Verse much more than I sort of fell in love with it. I loved the animation in that film, but I never I thought the narrative sort of was a little slack. It sort of allowed itself to follow the routine beats of Spider-Man, and well, I think it also came around the time where we were getting introduced to multiverses and all that, right? So I think it sort of added on to that fatigue, for me at least. I think I said this before we started recording and you guys looked at me funnily, but I was like, this to me strikes a little bit like The Last Jedi for the Star Wars thing. This is a much better film than that. I think Last Jedi has a lot of tonal flaws for me, and a lot of other things but I think the thing here, animation
This one
as
actually sits in the canon.
yes, so animation as Aryan has already said, it's phenomenal. It was phenomenal Into the Spider-Verse. Here I think it's very much a step up even. One of my favorite bits of animation, and this is the Gwen story, and how that sort of water wash
I was
color
going to
and
mention
that
dynamic with
absolutely
father.
sensational. Like whenever that sort of played, I thought that was what Aryan was saying about emotions being reflected through the animation styles themselves. I think that showed very beautifully with the Gwen story, especially. But I think the Last Jedi comparison is why I make it, is because it's about challenging the canon. It's about something that's established. This idea that there was one Spider-Man, which like the film opens with saying that he wasn't the only one. Like it repeatedly mentions that notion, and then the villains of this film, the Spot is of course the main villain in some senses, but it is Spider-Man as villain.
Spider-Man,
The Spider-Man society kind of, and then if you want to extrapolate this into like real world examples, but you can also extrapolate it into saying that Miles Morales is the Black Spider-Man, and he's the one who's been excluded by this Spider-Man society. Like why? Like all these things are sort of there in the film without being really on the face with it, I think. And of course these are the sort of thematic things that are working, but at the same time, I think as Aryan was saying and as Shashwat was saying, that it's still working wonderfully on a entertainment level. I thought the idea to integrate Gwen's storyline into this film was lovely. I thought it almost like expanded
Especially
into
the
another direction.
subversion, right?
Yep.
With the
Absolutely. Yeah.
opening.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. I thought it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's one of those films that, to me at least, is like, it's of course molded by convention. It's a mainstream film.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
made
Yeah.
a lot of, but it's like consistently grappling to break through it. It does actually break
Yeah.
through it multiple times, I feel. And like, of course, the fact that the animation is so radical, the animation is so popping, like, if you integrate that with the narrative here, which sort of, challenges whatever the
Mhm.
notion is of what we know about
Mm.
Spider-Man and Spider-Man. I think that sort of
Mm.
is what got to me, at least. And I was like pretty giddy about it, like throughout. And I teared up a couple of
Mhm.
times, which again I consider a big thing, I feel. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
my problems with the film remains like Aryan's. I think the third act, I think, is a little. I don't think the film knows when to end, and I think.
I
Uh,
think that's the same issue that I felt too. That's why
yeah.
I'm okay. I like the. I mean, okay, you continue, finish it. Then I'll
No, no,
speak.
yeah, it was basically that only, and I feel I don't know if the next film can be this canon
Good.
challenging, because I think it will need
Mhm.
to reconcile a lot of the things that it's set up here.
Mhm.
And I think, I don't know if it will. Maybe they do. Like, I don't know, but I mean, I'll be there
Mhm.
to watch the animation if nothing else, right? Because I think it's phenomenal on just a visual oral level. Like, I
Visual.
think,
Yeah,
and even
yeah.
oral level, I think it sounds amazing.
I
I
think
read.
it is a part of the reason, a part of the big reason why this film has resonated so well with the global audience is that despite the sensory and the oral overload, okay,
Yeah.
despite that over sensational visual style of the film, it never feels overwritten until
Huh.
that last act hits.
Yeah.
But even then, it is living up to those cliffhangers that we tend to get in comic books, right?
Yeah.
So it even that's thematically right with the vision that the filmmakers are posing right in front of
Mhm.
us. So I think it's very. I genuinely think it's a
No,
perfect film.
I've told this like again and again how much I've become estranged from a lot of blockbusters recently. This is the one film which I've
Mhm.
seen after a long while where I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I am firmly on board. Like, I want this more than anything else. Maybe like
Yeah.
it appeals to my sensibility, I suppose. I think animation
Mhm.
sometimes it's easier for me to emotionally engage. Like, it makes my
Mhm.
senses, it overwhelms my
Mhm.
senses more easily, I suppose, than live action sometimes. So I think that worked.
Mhm.
It's in
Mhm.
its favor also. But yeah, Sanjeet, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, I think again, like we'll talk about the ending again because I
Hmm.
really wanted to specifically mention that. I mean, I like the film as much.
Hmm.
I mean, not as much as you guys do probably, but I still love it.
Hmm.
I think there's a fair bit of appreciation that it needs to get. I think there's like a lot of flamboyance which I absolutely liked
Hmm.
in
Mhm.
terms of animation because like the way like certain actions take place in a certain moment actually like
Hmm.
are very eye catching personally. So it became like a very specific thing. I think the animation style improved on the first one. The first one was more glitchier. I think it had those glitchy
Purposefully
things
though, no? I think
purposefully.
from
Yes, yes,
whatever I
yes.
remember,
I'm
yeah.
for sure. I'm just saying in general,
Hmm.
and I feel this one works much more for me. I don't know
Hmm.
that I than I expected.
Yeah.
On a story wise, I think it's fairly universal. It talks about a lot
Hmm.
about identity, and
Yeah.
I think the writing itself is so smart because it's using every character for their specific purpose. Also, those characters exist in their own space,
Yeah.
and I liked
Mhm.
how they
Also,
changed
like
perspective.
it touches upon the parenting issues which were teased in the first part rather
Hmm.
and
Yes,
in a better
it's much
way
more
in the
in
like
depth.
Hmm.
the
Mm.
trials of parenting teenagers especially it should be
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
well I see.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think it does have like a lot of uh, things that I appreciated.
Hmm.
But then I think the ending felt a little abrupt to me. So I feel
Hmm.
I'm not the best judge of this film, technically,
Hmm.
because I would like to watch the second film and I would judge them together
Together,
as a
yeah.
whole.
This is the
Because I feel
Dune
it's
part one, Dune
The
part two, I
Dune,
believe, also.
yeah, exactly.
or
Yeah.
or you can say like Pony and Selvan for me in
Yeah.
that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I would like to watch the whole thing
Mhm.
and then judge it, because otherwise I feel it's not the whole story, right? It's
Yeah.
like
I mean,
like the middle.
I think this gives you a whole story in terms of some characters. Like Gwen's story feels like a full story here
For sure, for
to
sure. I
me.
mean, so like
Yeah.
when I spoke about characters, I wanted to speak also about that punk character,
Spider-Punk. Yeah.
the Spider-Punk character, who's always anti-authority, and that is the one character who helps Miles Morales also out.
I
So
mean
it
that they
feels
form a team, right? The whole team that they form is like by the end. Spoilers for whoever's not seen this film, which I don't think any of our
uh,
listeners have not seen this film. No, I think the Spider. It's like Spider Punk and like a lot of the people who were in the first part. I think they are the team for with Gwen to save Miles. I think that's the whole. It's the authoritarian Spider-Man which are like different on the different side.
no, I mean that's okay. I was just talking like how that character also got it its own,
Yes,
like
yes, of course.
it had
Yeah,
its own space
yeah,
to function.
yeah.
So
What
it
do you guys
wasn't just
think of
like,
the Indian thingy?
it was nice.
Okay.
I didn't mind it. It was pretty good. What do
Very
you think?
stereotypical, obviously, but
I guess I always have a pet peeve of
I
like
mean,
I
it's
just
not
find
accurate Indian representation
no,
irrespective.
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
but it's still
but
fairly
then
okay.
again, from what I remember, it's like it's taken its inspiration from the 60s comic, right?
Comics, yeah, yeah. Indian
Yeah.
comics,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Indian Spider-Man
Yeah,
comics,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Which no. I mean, I have a voice ka issue. I feel with voice cast. Like I'd rather have like just an out and out Indian person do it rather than. I always feel it's like impersonation of an Indian accent, which I'm allergic to.
And it's the same guy,
I know he's
na,
the Deadpool guy,
playing
right?
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one
Yeah, yeah,
stock
yeah.
Indian actor
The
who
guy who
they hire
plays
for
Bhupinder.
everything. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So good. Minor,
Okay, I mean
minor
that's
quibble. Minor quibble. Anyways, next
all right.
next movie, Shashwat, go
Next,
for
next.
it.
So yeah, the next one also is our common thread, of course,
Yes.
showing up. And
Yours
you know,
and Dhruv.
I have not like seen that much of. I've not seen much of Kelly Richards films to call myself a fan. Only three of them,
Hmm.
but among them, I guess this one is the most understated and also the funniest.
Hmm.
And you know, I don't know about you all, but I the one thing that I do, or I try to do at least
Hmm.
myself, or this is a personally I find this really moving,
Yeah.
that you can make art and then you can make other people who you want to make a part of your lives a part of your lives, basically,
Yeah.
or those who are already a part of your lives.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I mean, the and this can happen in an even better way when you blend the two art forms,
Hmm.
as we
Hmm.
see here, like
Yeah.
the sculpting, the way she incorporates sculpting and other forms of art in the
Yeah.
film, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And she, like much like her previous 84 films was how
Yeah.
she puts you in this really personal story, and there's
Yeah.
this relationship between two
Hmm.
women that it basically focuses on.
Yeah.
And even what I mean, I usually don't read up on films before I am done with them, or
Hmm.
done writing about them. But for this time I cheated just to see what art school have they used in the production,
Hmm.
and what is that art school specifically.
Yeah.
I know it's in Oregon because I think all of Kelly Richards films are
Most of Kerry Reicher's films are set in Portland, Oregon.
set in
That's
Portland. Yeah,
that's the
Hmm.
place where she
yeah,
shoots.
signature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I came to know about this college, Oregon College of Art and Craft, and
Yeah.
that it closed in 2019. So it
Yeah.
also, works as a tribute to
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Totally.
institution
Yeah.
in a very, that's also one thing that really moved me. Plus, I also thought that
Hmm.
Michelle Williams, ek to Hong Chow is omnipresent these days in
Yes.
every, almost
This is the
everything she
best
does is
use of
really
Hong
good.
Chow, I think. I know Hong Chow has been
Yeah,
used very well in other movies, but I think this is
yeah.
like her.
I
Yeah,
think
she
she's
was
there for a
incredible in The
small
Whale as well, but
cameo in
yeah, this is my
Asteroid City.
favorite of hers.
Oh yeah, she has a cameo in Asteroid City also, the new Wes Anderson film. So,
Hmm.
but like everyone has a cameo in that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and plus she was incredible, of course, but also it made me think uh, how better life would be if Michelle Williams chose more of these, dark circle ridden characters and, who
He's
are just
yeah.
doing their thing and doing nothing else. And
But
how funny
Shashwat,
that becomes.
this type
Yeah.
of performance will never get its due. Like this
Yeah,
performance
never.
is
Yeah,
neither will Raikard or neither will this performance. I think because both are operating at such a. And this is my favorite film of the year, by the way, so far.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I described it. Sorry, Sanjeet, I'm invoking it. I told you I will once. This is my
Mhm.
anti. This is basically anti Bo is Afraid for me from A24. This is like the filmmaking sensibility and like the whole idea of
Mhm.
making this film on such a smaller, like small scale, everything toned down, everything, tuned
Mhm.
down.
Plus, in a way, she wants
Okay,
to
okay,
she wants to return to her family too, just through her art.
Yes, yes. Without again,
okay.
see, the only reason I'm making this comparison is because I watched Boys Afraid straight after rewatching this in the cinema, and I was like, how odd to watch
Okay.
these two totally different films made by 24. Anyways,
So good double bill then.
no, it's not. Uh, Absolutely not. I
Okay.
think, but anyways,
Ah,
my point is that see, I'm a Reichardt fan. Boy, I would say that I've watched most of her work. I think she's one of our best filmmakers currently. I think working, and I think
mhm.
what Shashwat said, a lot of it, I think I'm in agreement only. I think it's her happiest film, which I think is like the weirdest thing to say about a Reichardt film. I think she makes pretty sad films otherwise, but it is her
Mhm.
happiest film, and I also feel it's strange to recommend to a lot of people. Like I told you, like I think it's very loose. Like it's looser than her usual films. Also, like
Okay, okay.
and I think one of the things because I've seen it twice.
When
To say,
when you
yeah,
say loose, what do
yeah,
you really mean?
plot wise, like
Okay,
its
okay.
plot is it's kind of non. I the one thing I
Is it
while taking
is it
yeah,
about
sorry.
the stakes of it? Are you talking about
Yeah, the
stakes?
stakes are also pretty low, but like I don't think she's a filmmaker who like up the stakes also a lot. So I think one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I wrote was think Steve Jobs minus like the Danny Boyle film minus all the histrionics and like lectures. It's basically a sculptor making something because her exhibition is going to happen. Uh,
Okay, okay.
and how she encounters her life and like daily life around like with people around, and the whole film
And
sort of
very
revolves around that.
scattered that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like one of
So,
the
shouldn't
sorry.
it be reminding you of Hereditary and not View is Afraid?
What that
I'm
everything's
sorry, I've not
scattered.
watched the
The
film, so
miniatures.
no, the
The
miniatures and
miniatures,
it
yes,
reflecting
yes.
around her. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, she's not a loud director,
No, but
no.
mm,
Oh yeah. I suppose.
So I mean, of course, she's not operating in the same
I'm
genre
sorry
only,
for
no.
ruining. I have not
No,
watched
no,
the
you
film.
didn't
I
ruin
don't
it.
know
Don't
why
worry.
I quite liked first cover a lot.
No, no, this is very different though. I think from First Cow, this is like very low key. I feel in a sense that um
More low key than
more
first
low
cover.
key. Yeah, yeah. I think more low key than First Cow
Okay.
because I think First Cow has like a proper plot and all, and it's
Yeah.
about like capitalism and whatever,
Yeah.
etc.
But
this is
aren't most of her
shoestring
films
even.
about that?
Capitalism. I mean, some of them
Yeah.
are even this is in a
And the
sense.
co-writer that she works with, if I'm not wrong.
Ray Chan. Let me see. Anyways, till then, I will basically say that one of the joys of this film is again, I alluded to this in when we were talking about Across the Spider-Verse. It
Hmm.
feels like it moves around the character, like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
not just about her. In fact, I think sometimes
Okay.
the camera is telling her where to go. Like I watched the second time and I
Okay.
was like noticing moments where the camera is on her and then just moves away to focus on something else, or like it begins somewhere else and she enters the space in like a different sort of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like the film is trying to make this grumpy, like really sad, like she's not a sad character actually. I think the film really respects her art, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's like it's telling her like look at other things and you'll find even more inspiration for your work. Like to me it strikes like that, and
Hmm.
it's the undercurrent of the rivalry she has with Hong Xiao's character is like there throughout. That's if there's a plot in that, it's that these two are like rival artists, but like again it's underplayed to like a different sort of degree.
Mm-hmm.
But like gradually you see one of the other things, sorry, I will quickly wrap this up because I know there's so many films to talk
And
about.
it's only visually expressed, this rivalry. I mean,
Yeah,
the way
exactly.
she goes to see her art, I mean, the Michelle
Yeah,
Williams character goes to see Hong Chau's
that's
art,
my
and the
favorite
way
scene. I
she,
think one of my favorite
yeah,
scenes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine too.
So basically,
That's why I
yeah,
mentioned it. And
yeah.
yeah,
So it's a
she does that thing with her eyes, and then someone calls her for the pigeon, which
yes,
she has to take care of.
yeah.
That's the whole.
Yeah,
I mean, that
like
sums
there's
up the
a
film.
so basically there are like motifs, like the pigeon is like the central motif, I feel, in many ways. And it's like a through
Mm-hmm.
line to like chart the relationship between these two characters, I feel. And like you see the role of the pigeon like change through the film. So it's not like one, it's not
They
like
might, they might as well have named it Last Pigeon. I mean,
yes, they could have. Yes, absolutely. No, but I mean, it's a lovely movie. It's got a wonderful ending, I think, like a really
Okay.
lovely, wonderfully executed ending. Like it feels like it goes into like a fantasy realm for a second. I was like,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
wow.
That's
right.
enough.
It's like, there's not much to spoil, Sanjeet.
No,
But
no, I
anyways,
understand. I understand.
I have a great affection for this one. I mean, and Michelle
Mm-hmm.
Williams after
Is it available
Fablemans,
anywhere?
yeah, I think it's available online officially and unofficially, both. So you can
Okay. I
rent it
mean,
also, Sanjeet. Support the movie,
sure.
considering
Support the film.
it
Yes.
made less money than Bo is Afraid, but then cost also like one third
But
of it.
yeah, I mean, of course,
Yeah.
you have to look at that.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Shashwat, next film.
Anyways, yes.
So the second one for me, no, sorry,
Third.
the third one is,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, the longest title we would have for a film this year, major film this year. Are You There, God? It's
Uh,
Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
Uh,
uh,
which is
Okay, I
based
was planning to
on
watch that
Jude.
today.
You
Yeah,
like it?
I'm halfway through it, huh? Just
I guess you'll
I
love it.
mean, it has
I mean,
Rachel.
yeah. So, of course, adapted from this Jude Bloom
Mhm.
classic, which I didn't know was really well loved until I finished the film. Sorry,
Hmm.
but like it's a proper novelistic coming of age film, which is served in a very not very, but I mean in a somewhat anti the edge of 17 fashion. I
Interesting.
mean, a
okay.
very as a follower. I mean,
Hmm.
it, of course, it's a very well realized coming of age drama, but in a very chronological fashion. I mean, it goes
Yeah.
from the very beginning to the very end. I mean, it follows this proper setup, and uh, of course, Abby Ryder Fortson, the kid, she spearheads the film with so much charm, and uh, it
Mm-hmm.
promises us this talent to look out for. I think she
Hmm.
was in the Ant-Man films as well, right? This girl.
I
I mean,
think
she
so.
has
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I
remember the
mean, she looked
Ant-Man films
familiar, but
after
like I didn't know.
Ant-Man 3, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so there was
Mm-hmm.
this really compelling performance, and the best part about the film is that most of the coming of age films that I love, they focus on these key elements that I connect to usually. I
Hmm.
mean, loneliness and standing out from the crowd and not liking the fact that you stand out from the crowd,
Hmm.
and trying to blend in anyway in that later stage of your life.
Hmm.
These are very essential things in anyone's coming of age process. But uh, the thing is, what the thing that most directors often overlook, which doesn't make their films bad, but
Hmm.
I mean, they do overlook this, that a cultural consciousness and awareness about our bodies and our surroundings that
Hmm.
also happens, and the uh, awareness about religion, and these
Yeah.
are also the part of growing up. And this is what is basically spotlighted here, which makes it
Hmm.
stand out from the other coming of age stuff that we
Hmm.
have. And one of these letterbox reviews that I read, I'm not really a fan of these short one liners that they give out, but
Thank God, yeah.
there's this one thing that I read which I totally agree on. One of them said that it was a message to Hollywood that give Kelly Sherman Craig all the money and just get the fuck out
Yeah.
of her way, and that's
Mhm.
basically what is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's lovely. Just to plug her name, Rachel McAdams is lovely in this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she was,
She's
yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Nanpakal is my favorite LJP film after this Emayo, and I I actually thought that he was losing the track after Emayo. I mean, Jallikattu made the waves, and
I
Churuli
completely
was
disagree,
not
but
as
it's
well
okay.
received. Yeah.
I
So,
mean, who are we to say he's
so
losing track,
I mean,
honestly, man? Like, he doesn't even care
I
that if you
know
watch his
he
films.
did. He did intermittently. I
Truly,
think I won't lie. Yeah,
I don't
because
think so. I think it's a good interlude.
I
Churuli is
I
a
enjoyed
great
Churuli,
interlude.
but I mean, I think he's
I
a
like
unique director who like just tries to do stuff, like
Yeah, I
a lot of
I
stuff,
mean,
right?
like Shuruli as well. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a very in the realm of folk horror, it's one of the best we have.
Hmm.
So yeah, Churuli was good, and Jallikattu was along the same lines. I feel, but
Hmm.
this one is closer to Imayo in terms of its humor.
Hmm.
And of course, we'll discuss how darkly funny it is, and it's Emayu has that this one way of looking at death. That it
Hmm.
can be at this one way of looking at death, that it can be darkly funny. But and then this he comes with this film Nanpakal, which doesn't have a one way of looking at its narrative only.
Hmm.
Not even
mhm,
a way. I mean, it doesn't even have a single language to look at the narrative. We have two languages here, two regions.
Hmm.
So
mhm.
I mean, it's that it has this. I usually am a sucker for movies that have this aesthetic swerve of a western, an afternoon western,
Hmm.
and which this one I feel nails. And of course, we'll discuss the other aspects of it, but the one thing that the one reading of the film that I connect to the most is
Hmm.
how it works as a reminder that our favorite stars are also performers, and we constantly need to acknowledge their
Hmm.
status as performers rather than the
For sure.
icons. And in this way, it pays tribute to Mammootty because
Hmm.
he's the one star who does this more frequently than his counterparts in, I feel, any Indian industry.
Hmm.
So that reading of the film makes it even better for me. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
was it.
I
Go.
mean, me
Hmm.
and Dhruv have discussed it much more of before
I
also, and
actually, I liked it
Yeah.
more on a rewatch. I still think I like it less than would. I would like it.
mhm.
Seems so much like my type of movie. I almost feel that I like it I like it still slightly less than
But we
what you
also
guys do.
speak about
I
like
think
how
didn't we do an episode on this film, if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
we
wrong?
did a best
We
of.
did, right?
No, we did a best of
best
Indian with Mahidar, I
Mahidar.
think. We haven't done a individual.
Okay.
We've had planned, but like all
I
plans
think
don't
Mm.
come.
I don't think there's going to be any other Indian film from this year that is going to, encourage this kind of an intellectual and
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of a melancholic discourse.
I mean,
I
directed.
think
I
this
think this is the best directed film of the. I mean, I would be
it's
shocked if we
not
find
just the
anything
Yeah,
else.
direction. I
Yeah.
think just the celestial and intellectual planes that this film is playing on,
Yeah.
and especially for someone who's not from either of the states, okay,
Hmm.
where the film is based upon, even then it hits me so hard because I
Hmm.
know that it's still closer to me. The geography of this place, I know what it means in the larger context
hmm
Hmm.
of our country, right? And I think the way this film plays with notions of identity, of not having other identity and feeling lost and being jolted and
Border
getting to
blurring,
open
no?
up to that. Yeah, it is. I think it is masterful, and I watched it in a packed crowd with a proper local crowd that
Hmm.
people from Keralites that actually came out of their way and supported this small film. Okay, and it's just
It's
the
not about
reaction
supporting.
of
I think it's their culture.
everyone.
Hmm.
They would watch generally
No,
also.
but this type of film, right? I wasn't expecting
No,
that
even
kind of a
in
thing.
where I am, like people, it was a
Yeah.
small theater, but it was full house, and it was like an early morning show,
Okay,
and there are early morning
but
shows
for
in
Okay, but
India.
regional
it's
films.
encouraging only, yeah. Because like I
I'm
saw
talking about
Nanpakal and
Nanpakkal.
I was like Nanpakal mein I can't imagine an audience for Nanpakal. Like in my head, because
Yeah,
again, yeah,
exactly, exactly.
I was shocked at how much it sort of owes
No,
to
but there
slow
is an
cinema
audience.
or like is
Jallikattu, I
part of
still
it.
remember
That's
in
but it
20.
was it was
Jalika 2
beautiful for me to
is
sit down and
momentous, no? Like, but it has like a
No,
yeah,
but
moment.
and it is
it
sensory.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter. It's much
Acha,
more
okay.
for their
Okay.
cultural significance.
Got it.
Yeah, they understand what is screenplay. We don't even like if you go anywhere in Northern India, they
Yeah.
don't even understand the word what is screenplay.
Yes.
You get the
Yeah,
difference. It's
exactly.
like they would generally speak, they know how to appreciate things. That's a different cultural context.
Yeah.
So when I
Mm-hmm.
watched it, I was like a full house for me also, and at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Amazing.
And there are no morning
Exactly.
shows here. There's no culture of
मेरे शो
watching
में
films in
कोई
the
नहीं था, मैं 1 बजे गया
Mm-hmm.
था.
but it's like you watched also a little later, no?
I
Or you
watched in
watched it in the
Dubai, I think
opening weekend?
second week. I also watched it on
Okay,
a
yeah,
weekday
Okay.
on at 1 p.m. So I guess I am myself to
probably,
blame
probably.
for having no audience
Yeah.
and for not knowing
But
that
you know, for
it's
just
you
sitting
know
in that theater and having this experience, sitting in the middle of this community that actually acknowledges and appreciates
yeah
these kinds of films, okay, these kinds of stories. I mean, what even if I watch all these summer blockbusters now in the upcoming weeks, that is
mm,
always going to be a kind of a theatrical experience I would always want to keep going back
Hmm.
to,
yeah
right? I
Yeah.
of
think,
Go
course
for Jailer
yeah.
when it comes out.
that's Leo
The
again.
Sorry.
no, that's Rajnikant's movie, but it's another experience, right?
Acha, okay,
Cinematography.
Oh,
okay.
right.
Yes.
Mm.
Sanjeet, anything more
Something.
on Nanpakal? I think we covered it before also. I
Yeah,
think
we've covered more or less.
you
Hmm.
loved it even in the first watch, right? So I was the one who
Yeah.
was sort of lagging
Something that I
behind.
discovered recently
Sound
was
design.
that Lisa Joseph's father
Yeah.
you worked under the direction like the thing is kind of like it's his personal experience actually,
Hmm.
the going in buses, because his father was
Hmm.
also part of
Hmm.
Tilakan's drama company,
Hmm.
whose name is written on the bus at the end. If you see it says in
When
the
Yeah.
it's
subtitle.
moving
In the
out,
last
okay.
shot.
Yeah, last
Huh.
shot, okay.
So his father was part of that company, and so he used to travel with the actors. So it's
Ah,
kind of taken
Hmm.
from his own
got it.
childhood experiences and ideas and stuff that they've stayed
I
and
though still
everything.
remember how like just this. I mean, the static shots are amazing, but even just like the architecture of the village and just
Yeah, it's
how
very
he
Hmm.
uses
specific.
like all of these windows, which are windows and doors, which are sort of open and close and sort of
Yeah,
it's the
Exactly.
whole
Yeah.
portal thing, right? You're like moving from one state to
yeah.
another state in a sense, and yeah, very
This
I
cool.
think
portal
it
thing
just
architecturally also.
reinforces that mindscape that the film puts you in.
Yeah. Very
And
meditative, I think, in one
I
sense.
think it has that singular best shot I'll watch this
Oh yeah, the
entire
one where the two families are
two frames, two
separated.
windows.
Two
Yeah. It
families are
I think
separated
it's
from I
yeah.
know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Same generations, different backgrounds,
Yep.
and yet they're
There's
like in their
like just
own.
it's again direction, film
I
direction
think
where
it is profound. It
yeah.
is profound. Yeah.
Of course, of course. Hmm.
Last your final film, Shashwat. Final meaning your favorite.
Final and
Yeah.
yeah, my favorite. So that would be Faraz Ali's Showbox, which I,
Hmm.
by the way, watched last year.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I'm shading on it, but also I rewatched it.
Hmm.
Because the
Hmm.
first time I watched it, I didn't like it at all, to
Okay.
be honest. I mean, because, it's somewhat, I mean, I liked the way it was framed and everything,
Hmm.
but it had this strong political consciousness as well.
Hmm.
But it frustrated me because I felt that it did not operate on its grief the way you would expect for a
Hmm.
film to be to be. I mean, to become a lamentation in a way,
Hmm.
and that too a very slow burning lamentation.
Okay.
So it has, but then when I rewatched it this year, I mean, I felt that it had this, astute sort of sincerity that a grandstanding political film just cannot afford.
Hmm.
The way human drama can about a daughter who is trying to take care of her ailing father, and the way this, mundane real life thing has been paralleled with
Hmm.
central government's decision to change the name of Allahabad to Prayagraj in 2018, which it did.
Hmm.
And what we think, what even most of the people who have this political consciousness, even they would. I know some people like that who think that changing the name of a place doesn't change its,
Yeah.
landscape, or it doesn't do
Essence.
something to it.
Hmm.
and especially
Mm.
small towns, because growing up in a small town, I know what harm it does to and these places like, of course, Varanasi and Allahabad, these are still small towns at heart. And, changing the name makes a lot of difference to the way the politics operates. Even if the said party is not in the power, it will linger on, it will haunt it. And, that's why even if I didn't like it much till the end of the year, it stayed with me and I decided to rewatch it. And
Yeah.
it comes together like really strongly, and it has these bleak aesthetics. And Amrita Bakshi delivers for me, the best performance in any Indian film this year. I mean, it
Okay.
moved me a lot.
Can I ask you
So,
something? You were saying about the whole political sweeping changes that are happening. So are these sort of backgrounded and then the foreground is the personal story? Or is it like
no,
back and forth?
I think it goes parallel. I
Got
mean,
it.
the characters who are part of this personal story, I mean, they are also the part of the political one, because it's also a very, an ode to cinema, because the leading
Okay.
character's family owns a cinema hall, which
Okay.
is a single screen
Mm.
cinema hall, which is about to be taken down for the construction of a mall, which is to be unveiled by the ruling party's
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. So it's
politicians in
more
India.
integrated. I was thinking more of Arun Karthik's Nasir or Nasir,
Nasir.
which
Nasir,
is
yeah.
which is very much
Mm.
personal, but like political forces are like outside, sort of everything's happening in
Uh,
the background. Like the world
no,
is like
it's
collapsed.
a very
No,
it
but
operates on a very similar
I
narrative
like
rhythm.
the dichotomous sound of this because it's like in a way it's also like modernity approaching with the
Yeah.
construction of a literal mall,
Yeah,
but also those traditional bigoted
Yeah.
undercurrents of it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting.
I
I'd
don't know
love
why I
to.
haven't watched it. I've had it.
It's because it's
I've had
online.
the chance to watch
It's
it
a you
since so
at okay.
long, but
It
Okay.
is
maybe
in
even
the,
I was in
not to
Mumbai
be
and
said sources.
during the Kalagoda festival, it screened and so
Ah,
many people went and like
Oh,
supported it. And I don't know why I didn't go.
I
okay,
don't know.
okay.
You were watching that
Yeah.
British horror film, whichever one you were reviewing. Bargain basement one. I know you
I
were
also
reviewing.
have to rewatch Insidious. Yeah. Watch,
Oh
sorry.
wow. Okay.
Insidious.
Fun.
Yeah.
Because Insidious,
Yeah,
the red door is coming out. I was like, what the hell is that?
yeah,
Is
yeah.
it
Patrick Wilson himself made it
is
apparently.
directing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Saving
yeah.
saving the money. The
That
Saving
in
the
production
itself is
costs.
scary.
companies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyways,
Aryan,
Sanjeet,
we
you
can move
go.
on to
Okay.
your list.
Okay, never
Well, we
mind.
can go with Aryan
Okay.
because we've
Since
already
we're on
discussed
this
multiple.
socio-political tangent, uh, I
Yes.
think the most viscerally
Obviously.
shaking movie that I'm sure that I won't see a better documentary in a while than while
Mhm.
we watched
Mhm.
by Vinay Shukla. I
Mhm.
think I started watching it expecting to have this certain kind of bias for my own beliefs and certain core values, and the very fact that I have been following uh, Ravish Kumar as a journalist since quite a
Mm-hmm.
while, and I've
Mhm.
seen
Mm-hmm.
him as the only beacon of hope in the mainstream
Mhm.
media narrative for quite a while. And watching this documentary, which was shot leading up to the 2019 general elections in India, and
Mm-hmm.
watching it now in 2022, 2023, with the knowledge of all those things that have happened since, I think it just adds into the commentary that it's trying. I don't even think it's trying to make a commentary. It just presents
Observational.
us.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is. And Vinay Shukla said this in an interview. I am obviously paraphrasing that he had
Mhm.
some 48 or 50 hours of footage for this
Mhm.
documentary.
Mm,
More than
40,
that, if I'm not wrong. And I think the way it is edited, I did have a problem with the way it flowed during the first 20-30 minutes.
Mhm.
And I was like, what is this style? I'm not clicking
Mhm.
with this.
mm,
But it gets going, once you develop the
Mhm.
flow of it, I think I was startled by the end of it. And
Mhm.
I think I don't see it getting a
Where do we
wide
watch
release
it,
in India
Aryan?
anytime soon.
I was about to
I
ask
watched it
that.
on the screen. I had got to review it. And I
Array,
would love
flex
if
it.
you could link
So
in
that's why I
the.
asked where do we watch it?
We can go to UK and watch
You
it.
Yeah,
would.
we all go to
I
UK to
mean,
watch
I'm
it.
glad that I'm glad that they have released an official trailer
Yeah.
citing an Indian release date.
Hmm.
Like it's not specified, but
There is a
I would
release date.
love to. No, there's not a release date, but I think some
Huh.
Indian distributor recently released a short trailer or something. So
Okay.
I would love
But you
it
know,
getting a wide release in India, but
the
I don't know.
same maker, they made this.
Yeah.
The previous film that he
Aam
made was
Aadmi Party. Yeah,
an insignificant man,
Arvind
correct?
and
Oh,
and
okay.
Insignificant Man,
yeah, Arvind
And they
Kejriwal.
had
along
like a
with Khushbu
very
Ranka, I think, the same
yes, and they
director.
had a
That's why
very
that's why I was skeptical.
strategic
Yeah,
release. Do you remember the release strategy
yeah,
of that film?
yeah, exactly.
It was like if the people demand it, we are gonna put it, and that's what happened, and that's why they
Exactly.
made like
Hmm.
a lot of
Got
money
it.
and
Got
like it
it.
was a
Mhm.
success.
Okay. Okay.
So it
They
was a
Interesting.
got
good
it on
But
strategy.
YouTube,
I
right?
don't see
Because
that
that's
happening
where I
with this
watched.
film.
At
Which
this point,
one?
even if Ravish Kumar releases on his YouTube channel, it will get more views,
What were
I'm
you
pretty
saying,
sure.
Shashwat? Sorry.
This An Insignificant Man, I think I watched it on YouTube when it came out.
Hmm.
It was
It's there.
there.
Kunal Kamra
Kunal
posted
Kamra's channel.
very famously,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
About it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I
So
think this is genuinely too cinematic of a documentary to be just put out like that. I genuinely think the ending of this documentary, and it's one of those instances where the real life in itself takes a course,
Yeah.
and the poetic undercurrents in this documentary, the way Ramesh
hmm.
Kumar's professional, I don't want to say or speak for his personal
Hmm.
life, obviously, but the way his personal and professional life overlaps and intertwines through this
Hmm.
documentary, I mean, how can it
So
be
it's
so?
also 90 minutes, right? Or
Yeah,
something
it's
very
92
short.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So editing feat on
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
Compressing 48 hours of
Yeah, yeah,
footage
yeah.
into like
I mean, but I think
90 minutes.
that's a very regular
But
documentarian
it
thing, right?
shows, to be honest, it
Okay.
shows a lot during the first 20-30 minutes, the way it
Hmm.
doesn't flow very well.
Hmm.
But I some of those recurring motifs, okay,
Yeah.
like in Hindi, the official name of the documentary is Namaskar Mein Ravish Kumar. And the
Hmm.
way the film, the
Namaskar Mera.
documentary tweaks
Namaskar, Main
Namaskar Mein
Ravish
Ravish
Kumar.
Kumar. So
The
that's how he
line.
starts
Okay. Every,
every column, right?
Uh, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
the way the
Quote.
film turns that into a motif and turns it into the sinister beat by the end,
Hmm.
and yet maintain and retain that optimistic, hopeful tone. And
Hmm.
oh god, I just can't. I just really hope that it gets a wide release in India.
Hmm. Yeah. No,
Mm.
I mean, I'm looking forward to watching that whenever we can. What's the next light? So the next film is about people shooting people.
Which one?
John Wick, I'm guessing. I
John
don't
Wick
know.
4,
John Wick. Oh yes,
which you have
a
Yeah,
discussed
film.
actually,
with
yeah, you have discussed with
Amartya.
Amartya, right? Yes,
A
yes.
film that I watched twice in the theater,
A
and
film that I
Arey,
haven't dared to watch once.
it's
good
yes, it is
choice.
definitely overlong, but who cares? Who cares? It is one of the most. It is
Who
one of the
cares?
most
I
gorgeous
care.
looking
This who
films.
cares is my response to Indiana Jones also, honestly.
It
Who
feels
cares?
long and it doesn't have to be long. This film is long, but you can't stop looking at it. That's
You
how
can
good it
say the
is.
same thing about John Wick 4 also.
No, you can't. You can't. It's
I
plastic.
asked
It's
Sanjeet,
CGI
I
algorithm
asked,
based
no,
plastic.
I asked Sanjeet if what should, as a John Wick, as a person who has a flat line for all John Wick films, I have legitimately no emotional reaction to
No,
any of
I
them.
only like the first one. I've never clicked. I don't even remember going into the fourth film. I
Okay.
hardly remembered the second film at all. I remember parts of the third film with the entire mirror
I mean, I've always
reflection,
liked
whatever
the
sequence.
action, but I've never been like, I'm not a
Yeah,
Keanu
it's
Reeves guy,
not
I
never
feel.
been memorable or anything. And even the story, it is like it is BS,
Hmm.
right? It is full
Yeah,
BS.
I mean, of
And to
course, but
imagine that
that's not what
all
you
these
go.
four,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that all these four films play out in a series of like in a couple of weeks,
You
you
know,
don't
Hmm.
buy that,
uh,
okay? But then
I mean,
just the artistry on screen in this film, I think it is definitely one of the best films of the year. Yeah.
Hmm.
And one of the best action films
Wait till
ever.
you're dead reckoning. Let's see what happens there.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Um,
great year for action film and could have been a great year for adventure film this year.
Sanjeet के लिए है.
It's okay. It's not that I don't like John Wick. I still like it quite a lot.
You didn't like it as much as whatever people I think went crazy about it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then what would your last
I
film?
think I want to keep rewatching that entire Rome act. The second act of I don't even know, the entire film is structured in such a way that each act of the film is a giant action set piece within an action set
But
piece.
isn't that a bit like Fallout?
It is mind-boggling.
Mission Impossible Fallout.
No. Mission Impossible Fallout has a lot of those breathing moments. I
Okay.
just
Oh,
rewatched.
this
I
doesn't have
just
any
was
breathing moments
rewatching it.
only.
No, non-stop.
2 hours, 45 minutes with no breathing moments.
Dude, it is. I just watch it. I just want to keep playing it all around my like four walls of the room. That's how good it looks, and that's how good it is presented.
Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
But I would say that the news of also
Oh yeah,
spoilers.
yes, I know.
Have,
I think I
you know
edited.
it. You edited the episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. You
I
guys have
think the
spoiled John
very
Wick and
moment.
Succession for me. So congratulations, guys.
John Wick, as if you cared anyway.
Oh God.
I didn't, but yeah.
No, but still,
Uh,
I think it doesn't matter now, and this is what I
yeah,
was
he's
afraid
alive,
of
no?
him.
Sorry,
Yeah,
spoilers.
they'll do something. The way this film ended, it was so poignantly and so beautifully done. The
Yeah.
entire, you know, the line where he says, "Vincent, take me home." I think
Hmm.
it is one of the most poignant lines in any action film that I've watched.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, because it's made money, we didn't expect it making this much money now
Of
from it.
course,
Maybe
but
he's not dead.
that's but
It's
that was
so.
there, and he should have died a lot of times before
I
also.
think, to be very honest, that's my only flaw with the film.
Wow. I mean, I see. I'm
I
still
genuinely think
skeptical
that
about
it's a
my
flawless
reaction
action
to it.
film.
That's why I avoided it. I'm like, let even more hype die down, and I'll see it because I've just had such a flatline reaction to all of them. Anyways,
And
Shashwat has
I
vanished.
remember the
Where is he?
I remember I remember the second and the third films not getting that wide of a release in the city where I live.
हाँ,
And this film was playing for like 5 consecutive weeks, and I was like, oh my God.
सही है. 2 बार आप देखा इसी चक्कर में. शाश्वत कहाँ है
Your
भाई?
last film? I don't know.
Okay. बोलो आप अपना फोर्थ फिफ्थ कौन सी थी? फोर्थ हो गई? अच्छा, फोर्थ वाज ननपकल.
Nanpakkal Joram. Oh, sorry.
अच्छा, जोरम बाकी है.
बोलो जोराम पे बोलो जोराम.
या फिर मास्टर गार्डनर
एक
बोल दो
सेकेंड.
ताकि मैं हार्ट अटैक से
नहीं
मर
नहीं
जाऊं.
नहीं उतना भी मतलब ठीक है मतलब यार लास्ट फ्रेम वाज सो नाइस.
Last frame is very nice,
Subversion
Aryan, but you
again.
have to buy the fact that that will actually happen. No, I was like, okay,
But
all
that
good
I
for
think
you.
that was the point. I think that was the
That you're not
point.
supposed to
And
buy the
you
romance.
know, no. The thing is, अरे वो तो भाई कार्ड काउंटर से तो बेटर है अभी.
I don't think so, but okay. I don't think.
I think too.
अरे
I
the
think it's
thing
better than
is,
card counter.
You like the
I
flashbacks
don't
in
think
this
it's
more
better
than in
than the
card
card
counter.
counter.
The
Huh?
flashbacks in this are so
Oh
bad.
God. Yeah, I know.
It's okay. I
It's
enjoyed
bad.
it.
It was so bad in
Fourth.
this. Fourth.
Arey, what is
Yeah,
bad,
but
yeah?
the
Bad
thing
is just a
is,
state of mind.
that
That
it
is just a
starts,
state of
but
mind.
What do you think Kangana tells her producers?
and then
Shit,
fires
I'm not
them.
thankfully, I'm not
Then
keeping
does
any of
everything.
this.
I mean, you can keep it's fun only.
But Joram, we can talk now. You can.
Arey,
But
I'm
like,
messaging
don't
where the
spoil
guy
it for me. I'm a
is.
massive
अरे
हाँ,
जोराम
Ninja
scenes,
पे
fan.
क्या ही
don't
मतलब
spoil.
no one knows about that film.
Then
क्या ही
select a
बात
different
है.
movie.
Yeah, वही सोच रहा हूँ.
रिलीज कब होएगी जोरम? होएगी या नहीं होएगी? That's the
I
other
think
thing.
वही
online
यार है
होगी, but
बहुत.
studios have picked it up.
नहीं
So,
I don't think so यार. It will get a proper
bro,
wide
it's
release.
it's financed by Z.
Reliance नहीं है. वो
Z.
Z है right. तो नहीं होगा. But I think its production design and everything is like.
What is the
It's a
fifth film if
theatric.
not Joram then? What was the sixth option?
एक सेकंड में देखता हूँ.
Indiana
ये सब
Jones?
काटना पड़ेगा. I guess it's that only. Closeted Indiana Jones lover.
Creed 3 पहले आएगा लाइन में.
डाल दे.
अरे ये भी
Wait,
मैंने नहीं
are
देखी
you
ना,
sure
even
you
though
were going to
मतलब
say Creed 3 considering Jonathan Majors के साथ जो छूटा है?
अच्छा है तो एंटमैन नो वन वुड इवन कंसिडर.
Ant-Man की वो इतनी सी credibility भी और टूट गई. My God, that
अरे
movie is so
गार्डियंस 3
bad,
कब आ रही
boss.
है?
अच्छा,
Oh, you
Guardians 3 भी नहीं
watched,
देखी
right?
मैंने. Ant-Man I watched, Guardians नहीं देखी.
मैंने भी नहीं देखी.
ऑडियो नहीं है क्या? या कोई बोल नहीं रहा?
एक सेकंड सर.
है तो.
हाँ बोलो सर.
Okay. Continuing with your fifth film, Aryan.
So I think from what I watched this year, one film that has also stayed with me was Devashish Makija's Choram.
That's
And
number 2.
yeah, and I'd watched Bhosle just recently, this year
Uh-huh.
only, I think, earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember not being very startled by it. And I know the discourse around it has been mostly overwhelmingly positive, but I had reservations about some of the filmmaking techniques used in that film. I thought that it felt too, uh, too, I don't even know, I don't want to call it amateurish, but it didn't it didn't sit in sync with the thematics that Makhija was trying to go for, at least for me.
Right.
But I think Joram works as that quintessential film where all of the themes that he's always dealt with throughout his filmography of corruption and about this misplaced
Systematic failure.
identity, systematic failure, and misogyny, patriarchy, and all these themes about rural displacement, urban encroachment, right? Basically, and I think everything works over here in a very subdued and troubling way. And I genuinely think that this is the best Manoj Bajpayee performance
Oh
I've
wow.
seen. I it
I
is
mean, Manoj
I
overall.
haven't been saying this out in front of people a lot because then everyone would be like, "Ki, हाँ, because you have watched it, because you have
नहीं,
reviewed it. That's why
I'm
you're
like
like."
that, I'm
But
just saying
I
that it's
think
high praise considering he's
Yeah,
leveled
I
with
yeah.
think
the.
that's why it's like even I had to introspect and sit back and think that wait, is it or is it just because of the filmmaking? But it's one of those films where even though Makhija's filmmaking is so, I think it is his most aplomb filmmaking that we have seen from him across his 4 films, right? If I'm not wrong.
4 or 3?
And
Ajji
3
Bhosle.
feature.
Yeah, but I think he's made a lot of shots also, right?
Okay.
Chipat Kadampa,
Yeah.
Cycle, and Tandav, and
So I think
something else.
this is him being most confident behind the camera and yet trusting an actor of Bajpayee's caliber to make sure that he doesn't, go overboard or become the central focus. And for Bajpayee to acknowledge that space. And oh my God, Mohammed Ishan, right?
Ishan,
I keep
Ayub.
forgetting his name. I
Mohammed
think
Ishan Ayub.
this yeah, Mohammad Azishan Ayub. I think this is easily his best performance, and I think he's cleverly with this film and with Hansal Mehta's recent Scoop. I think he's
Yes.
cleverly, picking up roles that are, acting as a long extension of his own political, socio-political strong view and
Aryan,
his
don't
own
forget,
strong
no?
nature.
The new Anand L. Rai film is coming out next year, or this
So
year, sorry.
he's obviously been
He'll
that.
probably be part of it.
Yeah, most
Which
probably.
one? It's coming this year.
I think so.
No, next year.
Next
Oh,
year.
But
next year.
after Raksha Bandhan, I'm like I just don't know. And how is Ranjana 2 in works? I can't wrap my head
That's what he's
around it.
talking
There'll be a
about.
second Ranjana, na? Ranjana तो है ही
It's not
पूरी.
Ranjana 2, it's
अच्छा.
based in the same universe.
अच्छा.
Universe. Oh my God. Okay.
और क्या?
Uh-huh.
No, but
I don't know,
Joram
sounds
definitely
interesting.
no one would want to be anywhere around the universe that Joram depicts. And I think the ending of this film, it supports a lot of those Bollywood final act confrontation, dramatic highs, and it borrows from Bollywood great films, Hindi classics such as Bandit Queen, and yet it's much more sinister, if that's even possible.
Hmm.
Even
And
Ajji
it's
had that
much
too, I
more.
felt.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
it's very.
I'm comparing it
But
with
the
Bandit Queen in terms of its.
but Devashish Makhija's the best
Hmm.
thing that I feel, the ending, the catharsis is always great.
You think there's
It
Oh, the
catharsis in Ajji?
catharsis
I
in
didn't even
this.
think there's catharsis in Ajji.
It's a very
I
angry
thought it was
film,
very
right?
cathartic at the
One
end.
moment was, but after that, there's like a big silence, I think, in that film, which I always think is
But I
actually
feel at
leading
least
that
that
catharsis.
one step that you need to
I
take
mean,
an
the
action, I
one
feel
scene
that
of
is big.
extreme catharsis by through castration is yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
specifically
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. But
But the
I
film
didn't want to
doesn't end
mention
there.
it.
No, I think is the big thing for me.
No,
Yeah,
no, no. I'm not. I'm just talking like the basic one step that the character needs to take is
yeah, yeah. Of course.
like
I
a
mean,
giant leap in itself, right?
you've
That's what I'm talking
been
about.
burdened by like
But
the
yeah,
filth of the universe, I suppose. So it's like
yeah, more or less.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
So
yeah, Joram is definitely up there. I think it's going to end up into my top 10 list by the end of the year. And
Hmm.
I this definitely seems like a film that would warrant and would work really well in theaters. And I really hope that it gets a theatrical release and doesn't get dumped down in a on
It's
OTT.
gonna get
But I'm
done.
guessing it won't. I don't think so because the reputation that Makija has already created and harbored with his last few films, first two films, I mean. I don't think so. But I
I
think
don't
mostly won
think so. It's
national
gonna.
awards, right? For
yet,
Yeah, but
Manoj
still,
Bajpayee's
it's
performance
like
and for.
yeah, but I still feel it's gonna come
Hmm,
on OTT because since I don't know if it releases in theaters, I'm gonna be the happiest person for sure
definitely. And
because
I think Dasru, the man that Manoj Bajpayee plays in this film, the way the film portrays his tragedy, and as the audience, you knowing that his tragedy is not actually that, but his
sorry, Aryan.
entire
He
life,
just
the
taken out
way
his
he's
headphones.
facing.
That's why I'm laughing. Just to
No,
let
no, no, I won't
avoid
spoil it. I
spoilers.
won't spoil it. But it's just that the way it uses those contrasts
Yeah,
to make you feel even
hmm,
more for Manoj Bajpayee's character. I
yeah.
think, and again, I don't see Manoj Bajpayee in this performance. And the amount of dialogues that he has in this film, I think it's barely like, I mean, we talked about John Wick, right? I think he barely has like 250 words in this film. But,
I
and
didn't want
yet
to know that, but
easily,
you're giving too much
easily
detail
one
now.
of the easily one of the best
Sanjeet, take over.
performances of the year.
You can talk about your list before you
Yeah, before I break
lose
down.
I
everything.
think I just feel too strongly about this film, and even though I have just watched it once, it just keeps getting better in my head.
Hmm. Okay, so we've
This is
already
like
discussed.
bus saga.
No, I'm just ignoring because I don't want to have expectations from that film and be let down. So
No, no, I get
I'm
it. I
gonna
get it.
watch it whenever it comes out. We already discussed Spider-Verse and Unpakkal from my list. The other ones are Viduthalai, which we've discussed amongst ourselves, but we never discussed on podcast. So I think it's a brilliant film. It's not best Vetrimaran film, but again, it's like the thing, right? Like we always keep comparing filmmakers
Hmm.
with their own films and everything. So
Yeah.
it's always like that kind of dichotomy.
Mhm.
But I wish if we didn't do that, then this film also exists in isolation, and there's so much more to appreciate in this film.
Mm.
I guess there are like elements that might be off-putting to a lot of viewers, which I've already spoken.
Mm.
But I feel when you're making like a political film in this strata and in this kind of budget, you need to compromise on a few things and like get few things done in your own accord.
Does editing
Uh,
have to be one of those things?
yes, that's one
Sorry,
of
but
those things. No,
But
but then if I have to
I
justify
mean,
it,
I've
if you
never made a
okay,
film, so obviously
probably
I
the
have no
worst
idea.
justification ever. If you look at other Tamil
Yeah.
movies, they
Hmm.
edit it in very similar ways. Like I could probably be wrong, but
Rapid
this is what my
cross
observation in the
clips.
last 7, 8 years of watching
Mm.
Tamil films
Hmm, hmm,
properly
hmm,
have been.
hmm.
Like they edit it in this very zany way so that it's like what happens is when
Accessible?
people, it's much more accessible and
Yeah.
it flows faster. And
Okay.
the third thing that I'm going to say is there are a lot of people who come drunk to theaters to
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
films.
yeah, you use
So
this
it kind of
justification. while talking
I know
about
it's a very loose
KGF.
justification, but I
No,
feel
no, it
this is.
makes sense. It makes sense.
Doesn't it?
But if you watch the interview with Vetrimaran with Bharadwaj, he's telling that he's edited it like this way because he wants
Yeah,
it that
in
way.
that way. Yeah, yeah.
And if you watch the film, there's the camera movement itself feels like, they didn't have any other thing but to shoot it that way.
Yeah.
Like it's shot on various cameras in various formats because
No, but
they
Sanjeet,
were.
I mean, I learned this from you only. You only told me that the whole 360 thing, when it works really well. But like
Here
choppy,
it's not 360. It's not 360 thing.
but that's what I'm saying. Like otherwise, but the whole choppy
Here,
thing is different. No, then
yes,
it
it's
becomes
different.
Behum, which I don't like.
Huh?
It becomes like
Uh,
Behum.
it's not Bayhem. It still stays with the character.
Okay,
But if you okay, I don't know if you know about this, but Vetrimaran always dubs his dialogues
okay,
because he keeps changing the dialogues during dubbing stage.
okay.
So
I
I
think
feel
that
that could
was
also be a contributing factor to when he's
exactly,
editing.
exactly. It
Okay.
just didn't feel in sync for me, and for a while I was
No,
wondering
no, he
that
never
am
he never shoots
I
sync sound.
genuinely checked, you know what, midway through the film, I checked that am I playing the actual Tamil audio because I was playing it on
Yes,
Z5, okay? And Z5
yes.
has like different versions,
Yeah,
different
yeah, on
dubs,
different, yeah,
Hmm.
different films, right? And I was like, I don't even know how to read Tamil. How do I cross check if this is
No,
in
no, no.
sync or not? I had to check that twice.
yeah. Hmm.
That's why I think that was like very off-putting at first, but then because of the filmmaking
But if
overall,
you,
because of the
yeah,
story, I was like totally engrossed.
it's very coherent. So it's like always you're
Yeah.
always in with the story. That's the one good thing. But
Hmm.
like if you watch his
Mm-hmm.
earlier film also, Adu Kalam, so that was also very much like it cuts very fast because but there the context is also a little different. It's about
Hmm.
gambling and cockfighting. So it's like the editing also kind of works. But
Mm-hmm.
here it's a
Yeah.
little different context, but still I feel once you're
Mm-hmm.
in the narrative, the beginning few minutes will be jarring.
Hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
once you're in the narrative, it becomes like
This is
normal.
part
And
one
it's
though
like
also, right?
it's part one though. Again, the whole thing which I've always said, I don't want to judge the film with its part
Hmm.
one. I would like to judge it together. And he,
Mm-hmm.
for one, also has this issue of just making it longer than it's supposed to be, which
Okay.
happened with Vada
Yeah.
Chennai.
Hmm.
But I feel he's adopted the same editing style from Vada Chennai to
Got it.
Viduthalai.
Hmm.
So that's that. But it
Mm.
still has a very
His
strong
last
political
film
voice.
was which interrogation,
The
right?
last film was Asuran
Asuran, right? Dhanush.
Dhanush.
with Dhanush. Yes, yes.
Okay, I not watched
So
that.
yeah, it's that is also very nice, but
Mm.
it's much more massier,
Mm.
like Asuran.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I guess that's the dichotomy. He's trying to do a lot of
Mm.
mass movements,
Hmm.
but with the
Mm.
editing style of Vada Chennai, but the story is from Visara. Like the story context and
Mm.
the style is from Visara. So it's a lot of mixture of his earlier films. So it's like
Fascinating.
it
Mm.
kind of works. If it doesn't work, then it's like
No,
you're not with the film.
interesting only.
But then again, the entire recap part two thing, I was like, just stop. It's we are anyways sold. We are anyways going to watch the
No,
film.
I feel that is again
I
like the
don't
whole
know.
audience also changes, right? Because so I'll tell you,
Mm.
there are different versions of
Mm.
the film. The version that was shown in
Yeah, I
Europe
said
was
that.
different than the
Yeah.
one I watched in India.
Hmm.
I watched here.
Okay.
I watched once in India, and then once I was here, I
Mm.
watched it here again with my friends.
Oh, then
And
that's
the
fine. Yeah.
Hmm.
opening prologue was a little different and longer.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
And my
To add more
non-Indian friends
context.
didn't like it, like the film also. But it's different.
Okay.
Like of course they won't have context, so it's like
But it is so context heavy, right?
it is very context heavy. It is very context
Yeah.
heavy.
Plus, it
So yeah,
flows so fast, especially in the first two acts when you're not still accustomed to the editing
yes,
and the
yeah.
dialogue
It's
syncing.
very
So
fast. It's
it's
very
like,
fast.
yeah.
But if you watch Adu Kalam also, that is also very fast in that sense. I don't know,
Adukalam was
maybe
Dhanush and this actress,
Vetri
right?
only.
Tapsi Pannu.
Tapsi, Tapsi's
Yeah,
debut
right. Yeah,
in 2011.
yeah.
So yeah, that's them. But yeah, Viduthala is great. It's on Z5 if anyone wants to watch it. Then
Hmm.
I would like to talk about this. The other film that I liked was Polite Society, which is
Hmm.
by Nida Manzoor, who's also made a fantastic TV series which I haven't seen, but I've been recommended that show by many people.
Hmm.
So Polite Society is very Indian, sorry, more like subcontinent people, cultural based in UK,
Yeah.
and the fabric is very Edgar Wrightish. So if you like that kind of style, it kind of elevates, not elevates in that in terms of
Hmm.
uh, in like pushing the limits, but like the style is very much on those lines.
Great use of
If you
Mardala. Sorry.
great, one of the finest uses of Mardala
Devdas
in
ka
pop
Mardala.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just otherwise also for me it felt
Yeah,
like very funny.
I thought so. Yeah, I think you liked it, of course, much more than I did because it's
Yeah.
energetic and peppy and like full of life and wonder, and you like all
Yeah.
that, and I don't.
Huh.
But no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Huh.
I mean, I think the Edgar Wright thing is a little too much. Like, I think
Hmm.
it borrows a little too much, and it's a bit distracting to me
I
how
feel
much
it
it does.
the film borrows, but I feel it's like I get it overpowers a lot of the aspects, but
Yeah.
it's not really that Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright uses a lot more different elements to do his
Of
style.
course, this is capturing like subjectivity of like a
So,
very
exactly.
confused
It's very
teenager.
personal.
Like it sort of
It's very
works
personal
in
that
the
way.
context it does work. And I do like how much it's like how much it gets at like the idea of the mama's boy,
I
which
was
I
gonna
thought was
say
quite
that
fun.
too. I mean, it goes with that one idea very like to the
Yeah,
extreme. It doesn't stop
it's
that way.
fun. It's
So
fun.
it's fun. It's a very nice watch. So I was like, I was with the film. Like I believed what they were trying to do. So
But it also
I,
feels like it's also coming off the heels, like the footsteps of something like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like it does feel like hyper in that
I
direction.
don't. Everyone's been saying that, but I didn't feel
Okay.
that way, honestly,
Interesting.
personally.
Okay.
Because I feel because of the whole magnanimity of the cultural context and putting it in a very different
No, that's fair enough.
pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still felt it's unique in its own way. I
No, it is.
never
It
thought
is.
about everything
It
everywhere,
is.
honestly,
It's a
except
good
once I read the
collage. I
reviews.
mean, I feel of like a lot of different styles. Like it fits
Yes,
in that
yes, yes,
sense.
yes.
Yeah.
To me, it reminded more of Bended Like Beckham,
You
honestly,
said this. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
rather than the
Yeah.
other film.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
The last film in my list is Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, which is
That's
again
Sky.
fantastic to say the least. Um,
Which
I
Seen
will
it
according
I
to
will
twice,
Book
right?
say
My
though,
Show was released last week in India. So, yeah.
yeah, someone should write something to Book My Show
Scam.
sometime in life.
Scammers. Fraud.
Yeah. Um, I still remember on Book My Show there was this film which was called Son of Rambo, and it kept showing in 2015 that it's going to play in theaters, and it never came out. But it still kept showing it's coming out next year. It's out on torrents now. Everyone
I
still
was
still
so
showing.
excited. I was like, oh, a Wes Anderson film is coming in India. I will go and watch it. And I was like, stupid people after
But
this.
actually, this is
But
much
either
more.
be they would have screwed up with the
PG-13.
aspect
No,
ratio.
but
They would be like,
there's
"Ye 4:3
nothing.
cues. Let's put it on
It's not 4 by 3.
4:30."
It's all widescreen. It's
No, but
like
still,
CinemaScope
oh,
I
style
think
the
French
entire
widescreen.
Dispatch had a
film.
lot of changes in terms of aspect ratio. Even like Grand Budapest, I think, had a lot of like aspect.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, for sure. But I
I
feel like,
think Grand
see,
Budapest was the film that made this like a
Yeah.
thing.
I have no,
I
yeah,
feel
I think so, yeah.
I
Go
feel
ahead, sorry.
people are still misjudge Wes Anderson quite a lot because
You were
they feel
saying
he's
this.
too style judgy. And
Hmm.
like I went twice for the film, so I went with two different audiences. So my one set of my friends had this point of view that they can't relate to it, and I'm like, this is not about always relating firsthand all the time.
Hmm.
Like you're still farther away from character. I feel you get
As in, like,
connected to
they
character in a
can't
very
like,
different way.
they can't emotionally connect it because it's so artifice heavy. Like, it's because it's so constructed.
Hmm.
It's that way, yeah. But I was
Okay.
like, it's a different kind of connection that you need. It's a
Ah,
different style. So that is one thing. The other set of friends had a different perspective that like he doesn't care about anything anymore. Like he's just doing what he likes.
interesting.
Like if you look at what, and then we discussed a little bit about it, like how French Dispatch and Asteroid City, although are both very specific to certain ideas, like Asteroid City is about the city and like everything stuff that happens in the city, like in a certain amount of time, and three different play. It's like three act
Oh, it's the
structure.
same thing, like three things, like French.
Yes, it's and it. I don't want to reveal much,
Yeah,
but it
don't
does
spoil
have
it.
those
Okay.
stage play thing of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Aryan is shaking his head in disappointment. I am
This
overjoyed.
is this is my this is my revenge for Joram.
I'm overjoyed, but okay, go ahead.
But there is much more to it. I'm pretty sure
Huh.
when you discover it, you'll be like, oh, this also in it and all that.
But you like Nope, no,
Hmm.
Aryan? I've heard it's a little bit like Nope.
It's
Yeah, because
not
of the
anything like Nope.
entire spaceship
No, it's
AI thing.
just ignore any of that. Trust
Okay.
me, it's nothing like
Okay,
that. Don't
okay.
have any expectations. But I
Okay.
feel his
Don't
stories are
have
very,
any
yeah. That is my general
from
overview.
Book
Like you
My
shouldn't have
Show or
expectations.
Wes Anderson.
Book my show, so you shouldn't have expectations at all in life in general. I thought gave up on Book My Show like ages back. I don't know, people are still thinking. You should actually check out PVR apps, because PVR is that one
Okay.
distributor who will still get more films and show it in their lineup rather than Book My Show. But more on Astro City. It's still like the story. Like people keep talking about the style is same, but the story is changing all the time. The characters change. It's very different. I don't know if people. I don't know why people say the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Because it's easy,
It's
the easiest criticism to
then
throw at a
it's
filmmaker, I feel. Like
yeah.
it
That's
would
then they're stupid. Then they're stupid. So it's
I've
simple.
been saying this for all the time.
But also the thing that I'm coming back to, like we were discussing with my friends, that how until Grand Budapest Hotel, his films also had like a certain plot to it, right? That plot has kind of disappeared. It's much more about.
I don't know. I'm not sure if French Dispatch is plotless. If
I
anything, I
feel
feel
it's
parts of it are too plotted.
Heartless.
I feel it's much more vibes and more characters and just like going around.
No, I
So
think it is trying to say a lot about culture and how it's about the
no, I'm
cultural
not
shift.
disagreeing on that bit. I'm just saying in general
But it
about
is still very
like okay, when I'm saying Grand Budapest
Yeah.
Hotel or like the other films,
They're
there is a
driven by
certain
plot, you mean.
story which are driven and they like
That's what I'm
converge at
saying.
the
Yeah,
end
I
and all
agree.
that. Yeah.
Because if you look, that's what I was referring to before we started recording. That if you guys watch this guy, Cinema of Meaning, what's his YouTube channel?
Thomas Flight.
Thomas Flight. If you watch his recent video
The Grand
on
Budapest
the Grand
episode.
Budapest Hotel,
Modernism, right?
that's what
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastically researched, and
Yeah.
the way that's what they say is that it had that concurrent story, right? It is very emotional when you see those resolutions, character resolutions. Once you rewatch, once you keep
Yes.
rewatching it over and over again, you realize that
I would just knock this back and say that French Dispatch also is emotional to me. Like at least in many.
No, I agree with you.
So
I just feel since it's like
I
very
need to
episodic.
rewatch actually before this.
yeah.
I need to rewatch
I
French
think
Dispatch too.
I think French Dispatch is one of the films which really plays well on a rewatch. I think so.
That's the same I would say for Asteroid City also.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
Because so I think I missed out on, because there is so much in his films, you tend to miss out on small details. And I feel when I rewatched it, I got onto a lot of details since I already knew what has happened. Which is why I also wanted to discuss with Dhruv about something which we'll discuss sometime later in some of the episodes.
Oh, this is the whole director's thing, right?
Director's rewatchability thing and all that. For sure, we'll speak about that
sometime.
But yeah, that's my list. Dhruv.
Yes, so I only have two remaining, considering we have discussed showing up, Spider-Man. No, I have three remaining, sorry.
Yeah, you're three.
So yes, my second favorite film of the year, which I mean, you were talking about how Asteroid City is like, plotless and like it feels a bit like open space. You're sort of in it.
It's plotless, I think, is the wrong way to term it.
Yeah, like light on plot. Let's just say that.
Light on plot, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my second favorite is Trenke Lock-In, which is an Argentinian film. This is a genre-bending Argentinian film, which calls to mind films, the David Lynch TV show a little bit, Twin Peaks. And it's basically sorry? So it's so think about it like this, like if you go, so it's all about when you are researching something, right? When you're like watching something, when you're like reading something, you always have like this desire to find stuff, right? This whole, you're curious about stuff, you like delve deep.
4 hours.
It's yeah, so I didn't mention that. I was trying to keep it a little
I just randomly Googled and it's 4 hours 21 minutes.
4 hour 21 minutes, yes. Okay, so let me caveat this on to make it more appealing. Okay, so the idea is that you enter into like a mystery almost from the get-go. Someone's disappeared and you enter with two people who know this person. And one of the things which this film, it's directed by Laura Citarella, and she's part of this team of Argentinian filmmakers and producers who made bigger, like not bigger, but like similarly big projects which are like, which are novelistic, like they feel very much like getting lost into like a whole world. So one of the
Mhm.
films is Extraordinary Stories. I think that's lesser known. That's also 4 hours. And then the epic thing is 11 hours long, which is La Flor. And
Okay.
it's encompassing 6 genres, 4 actresses, 6 genres, 6 stories, and it's really like elaborate. But one of the things, at least with Trenkilokin and Extraordinary Stories, I've not seen La Flor till now, but with Trenkilokin is like you go into this film and it's so gently switching between different modes of like watching, because it
Okay.
begins as this village mystery, right? Like you're in this
Okay.
town village where you are sort of, finding out what happened to this woman, and you're sort of using these 2 men as conduits to like explore her. But then what it does is like it is chaptered in different ways. So it takes one chapter and like spreads it over 2 3 more, where it explores one character's point of view, and that point of view is like a totally different genre, a totally different film to the other person who's also exploring with him. So it's basically kind of getting at the idea of how someone, you basically, a person can't, you can't really understand stuff ever from like one fixed point of view. So it's very much going back to the idea of, different subjectivities, different modes of viewing, different modes of genres, different, it's just, but it's
Mhm.
all done in a way which is very light on its foot. It doesn't feel like, it's hammering home a point, or
Trying
it's
to say
not even
something.
like super serious in a sense. It's
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
gentle, very light, very playful actually in many ways. It at a moment the film kind of
Mhm.
becomes a creature feature, like a very cheap.
Okay.
It's just like the way it moves through these places
Mhm.
is like you want to go along with it. But I would say, like, just because I know it's a 4 hour 21-minute film, it's a hard sell, etc., etc. One thing I would definitely say, if anyone is interested in checking out this film, is that uh don't uh crave for answers. It's not a
Okay.
film which will give you many or
Thanks
any.
for the heads up.
Yes. No, but I think,
Even after 4 hours.
yeah, but the film sets itself up like
Yeah.
that. Like, I don't think the film ever
Okay.
tells you that, that this is going to be
Mhm.
the definite answer. It's basically you follow one thread, right? This happens when
Mhm.
you read like when you read a paragraph, you follow one thread. The thread
Mhm.
leads
Mhm.
to another thread, leads to another thread, leads to another thread. And what happens is sometimes those threads don't resolve. And you sort of,
Mhm.
go into, you kind of just get lost in that spiral.
I
But
have
it,
a question.
yes, go ahead.
Is it kind of incoherent in terms of like inherent
It's
wise
not
or in the scene?
incoherent
Like,
at all. I think it very
Mhm.
much puts, it's this same idea. You've seen Citizen Kane, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a weird comparison, but Citizen Kane in many senses is about different points of view of people exploring one
Understood.
person, and you
Understood.
never get like
Understood.
a definite thing.
Definite.
This
Yeah.
essentially take this film also as that. It's basically going through multiple people who sort of are recalling this person, and then it sort of includes her account also a little bit. So you
Okay.
get like a mix of this whole thing, and it feels like this wonderful haze. You kind of just go in and
Mhm.
you're just like lost in this world, and sort of
Mhm.
by the
Mhm.
end you kind of, I could have watched it for 2 more hours and been happy, like sort of, it didn't
Mhm.
feel, it's not hard work. It's a very gentle,
Okay.
breezy film, which is odd to say for a 4 hour 21-minute film. But yes, I hope
Okay.
managed to sell it in some way, shape, or form.
You sold it.
Okay, good. 5 years from now, Sanjeet and me on message.
That's too early. Nothing before 10 years.
Okay, 15, done.
Enough. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay,
More than enough.
okay.
Hmm.
So the next
Then.
is The Beasts by Rodrigo Sorogoyen, which is a Spanish film, Spanish
Mhm.
French language. I
Which the
think
three of you have seen.
Aryan has seen it and Shashwat has seen it. So
Mhm.
please chime in if you guys have thoughts on it. But I really like slow burn thrillers. This is a very
Mhm.
effective slow burn thriller. Uh, this also has one of those swerves, like narrative swerves, which I can imagine doesn't work for some people. I bought it, and I think it adds a new dimension to the film than just,
Exactly.
someone
With
mentioned
uh, with
that
his
it's like
daughter.
Straw Dogs. If people are aware of Straw Dogs, is Sam
I've
Peckinpah's
seen. Yeah.
1970s
Yeah. Yeah.
really nasty thriller
1970.
about basically like people stuck in a small
Hmm.
town, and like there's this, they get a
Hmm.
people in that town sort of attack them in like through their xenophobic point of view. In that, it's more to do with misogyny and masculinity. In this, that also comes into play, but
Hmm.
in a way which is, I don't want to spoil, because it's a moment of departure in the film that sort of leads to that. But yeah, go ahead, guys. Did you guys also like feel similarly? You saw it last year, right, Aryan? Or both of you saw it last year?
Yeah, February actually.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So I watched it at PIF, and you know how film festival crowd is. And I think I definitely need to rewatch it because watching a slow burn thriller after having already watched two movies, and one of them was, by the way, I said,
Pacifiction, which is the slowest burn, or
no,
no?
that was an evening before that.
Okay.
Earlier that morning, I had watched the new
Scotland.
Aronofsky film. No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
The
The new
Whale.
Aronofsky. The Whale, yeah. So I watched that. And after that, I watched some French film, I don't know. And I think this was the last film I
Ah.
watched that day. So I think I was already, once the film started, I was already hooked into the
Hmm.
narrative and into the bleak, slow burn, atmospheric nature
Yeah.
of it. But then I don't know, because I was trained, my brain was wired in looking at it in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I expected it to follow a certain conventional
Yep.
story beat
Yeah.
narrative, and then after it switches
Hmm.
in the last act,
Hmm.
I felt like I
I
felt
can
very
understand
betrayed.
that.
But
Yeah.
I felt betrayed now. The more I think about that movie, the more I've read so many essays and pieces about this movie because I was trying to figure out that why did it not work for me?
Hmm.
And the friend that I made at PIF, even he was like the very thing that put you off, Aryan. That was precisely something that made me fall in love with the movie, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god,
It's one
yeah.
of those things though. Like when it happened for the
Hmm.
first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, don't. I thought this is
Hmm.
going in this direction, and it literally just like
Yeah.
flips out, and I was like, okay. And then it sort of makes its ground up. I thought I bought into the
But
emotional stuff in that.
for me, even then, the resolution felt very blank.
Okay, I
That
thought
was
the
the problem.
resolution worked for me. But again, I
Okay,
totally
It did
understand
for
because
me
why.
then
too. I mean,
by
it becomes about the
making
female
that
resilience at a very unexpected point, I feel.
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because then for me, it was like by making that a certain choice at the end of Act 2, the film was like, no, this is how it is. This
Hmm.
is how it actually is. So it's your fault that you expected much from the story,
This is
from the
like that.
dramatics of
I'm
the
not
story.
sure if you've seen that really nasty Danish film, Speak No Evil, I think it's called.
Ah, I
Mm,
did. I
Okay.
did.
Yeah, so that's got a very simple, that where you are saying now,
mm,
Aryan, where it ends,
mm.
that
Yeah.
is that film. Like that ends at that
Okay.
note where you're like, oh, you expected us to do something good. So
But then
Yeah.
this was my problem with the piece
That
that
ending
then
was a
the
big fuck
ending, the
you to the
actual
protagonist.
ending was like, oh no, see, very rose painted, that oh
I can
justice. I was
understand.
like,
Hmm.
no, this wasn't the tone I
Hmm.
bought into
No,
the
no, I think the film
first
takes a
place.
Hmm.
gambit in the last act, and either you go
Yeah.
with it or either you don't go with it. Sort of, it's like that.
Hmm.
But irrespective, I think the first two acts are like properly like
No, but it's
knuckle
even it is
thriller
a
vibe.
consistently brilliantly made film.
Yeah,
I vividly remember, and you know how films tend to mix up when you
yeah.
watch them back to back like that
Hmm.
in a film festival. But then I vividly remember that one scene at the bar,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's oh my God, I think it's one of the most tense sequences I've watched in a while.
It's very like it's like the whole thing where you speak something, but you clearly don't mean that you're speaking
Yeah,
that.
and then one thing leads to another, and
Yeah,
the way it escalates the tension. I think it
yeah.
is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the sort of stuff I kind of went for in any case, but like the switch worked for me, so it sort of no, I don't think it elevated it, but I was just surprised by it and sort of went along with it. So yeah, the Beast. Sanjeet, watch this. You can take a year to watch this.
Okay.
Because
उससे
this
Thanks
is
for
ज्यादा
the.
you will like this,
yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
And my last
Giving coming
film
up
is
with validity now. like
Yeah, I am. Because
recommending
Burning
movies.
he watched now after 4 years, so now I can. Yeah.
Was too early, honestly.
This one would be a slow burn then.
Which one?
अरे यार क्या यार
Arey,
nothing.
Burning also I watched. He's slow
Slow
burn, yaar. The
burn,
joke.
slow burn.
Okay, okay,
क्या
got it.
यार?
Guys, I was teeing
Uh,
up my final pick, which Aryan hasn't seen, but Sanjeet and Shashwat love. Infinity Pool by
Uh,
हाँ.
यार
yeah,
मैंने
Brandon Cronenberg.
we are big fans.
Yes. If you couldn't sense from the tone, that the sarcasm. Anyways, I'm not going to advocate people to see this film because I know it's fairly hard
Divisive.
to recommend,
Divisive.
divisive, etc., etc. But
It's not hard to recommend. I feel if you like this kind of
Yeah.
movies, you might just be okay with it at the very least.
Hmm.
I feel I mean, it's not that I didn't like it,
Hmm.
but I feel it doesn't go all the way. That's my.
I think it goes all the way, weirdly enough. I actually
I
think
feel
No,
it
it
could have
does.
done more.
I do think that Infinity Pool does go all the way, but it in many a times I have already mentioned it, and many a times it feels like it's a very secondary, a very random work by a proud auteur. I mean,
hmm.
like it's by someone who is already a proud auteur, and like, look, I
Interesting.
made it again.
I
But what do
I
you?
was viewing it
Dhruv?
more as a eat the rich narrative, and I think this is one of the better
Yeah,
eat the
it
rich
is.
narratives
It
which
is.
I have seen.
Are
So
we still not done with that?
nope.
I think
No.
that's probably why I'm not.
And I feel there's more to come.
There will be more to come, but
Oh,
I
Arey,
thought
this is the new trend. It's
but I
gonna.
thought the eat the rich stuff in this was like deliriously black.
No, but now it's gotten real, na. Eat the rich narrative with the strikes.
It's
Please
gonna.
remove this.
No, but I mean my plug for this the note I made basically to recommend this movie is Mia Goth exclamation marks exclamation
Yes.
marks exclamation marks exclamation marks and endless
Four.
exclamation marks.
Is that also
Is
representative of your rating? 4
phenomenal in
exclamation
this.
marks.
Like I've liked her in X. I thought she was the best part about Pearl. I don't like the movie Pearl though.
Mm-hmm.
But she is on crack in this film. She is going
Yeah,
so much for the
she's
fences here. And I was laughing my ass off when she basically goes ham in this film. So I clearly connected with the humor. So
Hmm.
I was laughing and I was like, if you're going for that pitch of performance,
Yeah.
I am with you. Like that pitch of performance, no one does without like it's like shedding all the shame you have about a performance, and then you basically
Zero
go for the
inhibitions. Yeah.
fences. And I was like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's crazy now from I have not watched either of these films, but it's crazy from this distant view that the kind of discourse that she's generated by playing these two
Yeah, Mia Goth has her
roles.
own fan base.
now
More.
now it's become like that.
Now, yeah, I
After
need to
X, I
watch
think,
both of these.
right?
Yeah, after X
Yeah.
actually, more or less.
Pearl was
It's
hers
also
as
just
well,
like
right?
the release order, I feel, of these films, probably, which
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I feel Mia Goth is the Anna de Armas alternative that we deserve.
Anna de
That we
Armas' ka
deserve.
reputation suffered, I think, after
Yeah.
Blonde and Ghosted both. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
Ghosted.
that
Blonde
also
Ghosted.
What
was
Ghosted?
there.
Blonde Ghosted. No, I didn't watch.
Oh,
I
I
watched
was
the
like
worst.
surprised.
I watched.
But she was great in Blonde. Blonde was a shitty film, but she
She was
was
good in
great in
Blonde.
it.
Yeah, she was good.
We don't call
Yeah.
films shitty unless it's Amartya here. I'm sorry. I'm joking.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want. Sorry.
No, he got direct pile of whatever garbage shit.
I also say that, huh? Let's do like.
But you're more polite.
Acha.
Look at Sanjeet. 4 stars
Look at
is
me.
the distribution.
4 stars though is mandatory. No, actually, I'll explain my
बुरा
rating
लग
some
जाएगा
other
वरना
day.
I know.
Disney को.
I'll explain my rating system some for sure.
That is it, Sanjeet. We should end with Infinity Pool, and you have to put a clip of Mia Goth shouting James. Mandatory.
James.
What are you doing in there, James? Huh? Where do you think you're going, you little baby? James!
Okay, I'll just cut my voice to what she says instead of me saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting us. Please follow us on all the platforms, any of the platforms that you listen to, and drop us a review and let us know what you feel about this episode. If there are any changes that you would like to make us, please. Also, you can also DM us on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram at Queensred.film podcast. You can follow Aryan on his Instagram page at Aryan Talks Film. But Shashwat, do you want people to follow you on your Instagram?
I would rather if they read my high on films credentials because I have nothing on
Give a link.
Instagram.
How can they do that though?
Yeah. Um.
Okay,
Better-
we'll just link your
Open a-
profile
Open a-
from High on
Pata.
Films.
Yeah.
They can just
Yeah.
read whatever stuff that you've written. You can follow Dhruv at Terminal Cinema. You can follow me at Pixel_Baba. Thank you so much for listening again. Also, you can check out the films that are listed in the episode. They'll mostly be available online at some point for sure.
They are available
again,
online, most of them.
Not Joram and the flexes that
Most of
Aryan
them,
has.
most of them. Yeah. Normal people
Yeah.
recommendations are available.
Yeah, Aryan is.
Yeah. My 5 picks are all available.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
officially
sure.
and
So
non-
I'll check out.
No one
whatever.
mentioned Boa is Afraid except for me. I'm so
Okay, let's end this episode.
I
Thank you so much for
haven't
listening.
watched it now.
This is the end of the episode. Khatam.
I am going through my own Kafkaesque journey these days. So
Boys afraid.